Oh yeah. Hey Ma,
Hey, bud.
how you doing?
I'm great, thanks. Living life, trying
Well,
to
welcome.
figure out one day at a time.
Well,
All the
welcome to
while,
our first episode.
right?
Yeah, I wanted to have you on here more than anything, so I could basically you started from day one, so you seen me from day one, and people that are gonna watch my channel moving forward are gonna love me or hate me, and so it is what it is. So figured they'd hear it from the horse's mouth, and
About building relationships. You build relationships with your kids, you build relationships with business partners, you build relationships with family members, and it's just the dynamics of who we are and who you connect with. And, obviously, you and I are like minded. You followed exactly, I feel like, in my footsteps in a way.
no, I think so too, and I think that not having it just easy all the time has kind of molded me who I am today. And I think that, like, you can relate. You're one of five, I'm one of five. Um, Similar, I would say similar stories, but a little different. Childhood growing up was a little bit different for me than you, I think. But like, um, I guess if we could take it back, like my very first memory that I think that one thing that you were really happy about or really told me a lot of my life was, you remember when I was talking on the radio and I wanted to always hear myself on the radio,
Yeah.
and then you know what I mean, because and then it was like a little cassette tape,
Yeah.
and then now here I am talking to you on
Uh,
the radio.
Hey, I said, you look like you're a radio DJ. That's funny that, it would come full circle. And I keep using that term a lot in my life. I feel like, and the older you get, you feel like some things come full circle. Just that memory of you listening to yourself on the tape or even seeing yourself on the video, you know?
No, I I wondered. I was just like, why would anybody really want to listen to this? But at the same time, you know what I mean, like I got a lot of cool people that I've met in my life, you know what I mean? And like my journey is really cool, but like I think the people that I met is a little bit cooler. Like the people that allowed me to have this space right here is super, super cool right now. You know what I mean? Just the background. I'm in a lounge right now, so I could go downstairs and buy a joint and smoke in here if I wanted to right now. That's kind of cool. But I mean,
And
it's
is too, I'm in Loco's Cafe and Event Center, and I could do the same thing. I can go next door to the smoke shop and buy it and come over here. It's kind of funny. Crazy reality that where we started in 1988 when you were born in an apartment in southeast Memphis, Tennessee, moving when you're 7 years old, where you met your now best friend family that would become family.
I know, isn't that crazy? Like, how many times did we move from when I was a baby till I was 18?
How many times did we move?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about that a lot. Probably every year, to move. Golly, I mean, where you actually live, you know,
Hmm.
go to sleep every night, you know,
I
week to
think
week.
about it. I think about it like I wish I had like some toys that I had when I was little, you know what I mean? Like, but like throughout the moves, you move and you don't miss them or anything. It's not something that you miss, but it's just
It's
like you see, like
material stuff, isn't it? But
it
what you,
is.
I think, along the way, I think is, the ability to create relationships. And that's more meaningful than a toy ever would be.
No, and I'm glad that mine and your relationship has grown over the years. You've seen, we've had hard times, and then we've had good times, and then we've had bad times, and then we've had now you got to go figure it out times. You know what I mean? So like, um, I guess what I want people to get out of this was like, all right, so first year as a mother, what was that like for you? Your very first year. You're
Well, you're
20.
young too. I was young. I lived in an apartment. You know, I depended on your dad's income to take care of us. But, as a first year of a mom, it was great. I had you in a stroller every day and we took to the streets walking. I remember walking. I mean, if anybody knows where Memphis, Tennessee is, and you Ridgeway and Winchester and walk down Winchester 2 miles to go to your friend's house to visit because her husband was at work with your dad, right? And we just spent days and days and just at the park or at the zoo or at a friend's house with a friend, Julie and Jason Blecker. We walked over to their house and they lived by, I think it was called Wooddale High School. I walked you everywhere in a stroller, right? Had you outside exploring, right? We didn't go to Paris and we didn't go travel, but we traveled our neighborhood. We went to the zoo a lot. We went and did things with friends a lot. You met one of your best friends at a fair, you know.
Mm-hmm. What and now after going through me for that one, the being the oldest, I guess. So that was the first. Josh just graduated. He's 18 now. So I would say,
But
what have you learned from the first? Like, what do you say to people that have their first kid opposed to their fifth kid? You know what I mean? Like,
you know what? I mean, I think that, I'm just, life just happens day to day, and sometimes you think about things and you only think about it and you don't ever, vocalize it or share it. You just think about these things, having one kid, that was different. And obviously having five, I remember my girlfriend, Susan, when I was pregnant with Chris. What the world? Samantha's 10 years old. Jordan's 14 years old. You're having another baby? 20 months later, there's Luke, and 20 months later, there's Josh. You're a senior in high school. And I was afraid to tell the kids, right? Oh, my Lord. You're going to have another brother. Oh, my gosh. But I mean, 18 years later, I mean, 2006 was a long time ago when you graduated, right?
mm-hmm.
18, I had Joshua. I did it all over again, right? It was just interesting that I had them, different times in the different years, the spread between everybody. But now, I mean, I wouldn't trade the relationship that y'all have for nothing.
Oh, me neither. I love them kids. They're more like kids to me just because of the age difference. It's 14, 16, 18 years difference between the three of us. Me and Sam are a little bit closer, but 5 years?
Yep,
Is that
four and
how
a
old?
half,
5 years
4.5.
younger than me, Sam is?
Mm-hmm.
Dang it.
Yep, you were starting kindergarten that August, and she was born in January. Mm-hmm. You still there?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry. We're going to have to cut that part out too, but
Yeah, so I'm so thankful for the relationship that y'all have because I mean, you just not living here, and are you still there?
yes, I'm here. I'm
You
trying to figure out my camera.
you not living here, and then the boys, you know, um, how close I feel like that they are to you. They're real proud to, share. I talked to Jordan today. Yeah, I talked to Jordan, but I mean, it's like common, for them to, you know, communicate with you.
And that was probably the hardest thing for me is moving away, but I realized I was way more successful in an environment where I couldn't depend on you anymore. You know what I mean? And somebody said something to me the other day that really resonated with me heavily. It was like, you don't your kids aren't going to appreciate you, or you're not going to appreciate what you have until it's gone a little bit more. You know what I mean? So like just realizing your phone bill's paid, your groceries are paid, realizing that Jif peanut butter was a luxury sometimes, you know what I mean? Like that you didn't spare on some of the things that I really enjoyed. And that was appreciated, like I look back and I think about it. I was just like, you know what? I might not have had like the best clothes, but y'all always provided the best shoes that I could have.
Right.
And
But you know what? I mean, I didn't
it
know any
was
clothes. I mean, I thought Walmart and Target had good clothes. You
Well,
know,
and
I
you know
didn't.
what? Like it's all perception. You know what I mean? Like I think about it now. Like I wear a cross country wellness T-shirt every day. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. You know,
Right.
and I think about that, and I'm just like, the older you get, the perceptions that you have of other
Yeah.
the perceptions that you have of other people are out the window. You know what I mean? So, um, and that's interesting to.
But if you could have X-ray vision and have X-ray vision to see into somebody, kind of like I was referring to, building. And I sure do wish that I had blueprints or a picture of every single room behind that sheetrock. What's behind that sheetrock, right? So I was referring that to another coworker of mine at the hotel. Her son had another heart attack, and the doctor didn't prescribe something right. I mean, but so I was thinking about that same thing. You can't see what's behind, on the inside, and how it all works. And so, just knowing somebody's inside, it didn't matter that your shirt that you had on, I can't remember what the name of that shirt was, but you know the name of that shirt that,
the one the one that I wore.
yeah, but
Yeah, so this is a funny story.
uh,
So we were the Neelys had invited me to go to
stories.
the, yeah, the Neelys invited me to Orlando, and this was my first time, I think, going to Disney, I think. And so
7 years old.
how old?
7. You're in the second grade.
Oh, I didn't know. They were wearing Tommy Hilfiger. I was wearing bum athletics. It was because
Remind
it was like
came from.
beach unlimited something, or it had like an acronym that stood for something. It, this year's version of Wish version of clothes. Oh, that's so funny. I think about that, but then like
I thought it was hilarious. I was like, then I didn't want to go shop there anymore because I was like, wow. But that was a perception in 1993, 94, 95. Let's see, Samantha. No, you know what? You were older than, you weren't 7. Let me think about this. This was,
we were still living in Reagan Ridge,
well, we were living on, yeah.
because I remember you sitting on my bed in that green ass ugly ass carpet,
It was
and you
a
said,
room. Oh, no,
"Huh?"
the house on, Mill Farm. We painted the room black and put the basketball floor in the floor.
Sorry, we lost connection for just a second, but um, I remember that like it was yesterday. It was actually pretty funny.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I mean, some of my best memories were there because y'all were young. You wrestled that bear all the time. We had Monday night wrestling, and we would sneak all your friends in the window and sneak them out the window when your dad got home. He did. That's funny. Samantha's room had her little kitchen, and she had all her babies, and y'all were the most hospitable kids in the neighborhood. You invited everybody. You took food outside and invited everybody to over to eat, and y'all were, I mean, very hospitable children. So yeah, when
And
we were Reagan
that
Ridge,
hasn't changed either.
no,
Definitely still the extrovert.
yeah, Samantha wouldn't even order her own meal at a restaurant until she was like 13 or 14, I think. Really and truly, wouldn't order a meal. And now, I mean, it's hard to believe this, but she gets up in front of the congregation 3 times every Sunday, and she's an ambassador for the church, and she gets up and give the and to a room with 250 people in it.
No, it's amazing. I'm
Her
proud of her.
her and
She's definitely opened up.
Bible class that they're teaching, a class called Fierce Marriage.
That'd be cool. Fierce marriage.
15 couples attended their first class.
Oh wow. Well, I mean, they're a strong couple. They got together when they were 18. They have 3 kids together. They're building their family, their legacy together. And that's one thing that I really wanted you to get on here to talk about me for, is because my whole legacy. So I'm not just somebody that's just got here overnight, or I haven't like got into an overnight success, or some people don't realize like the grind that you have to do on a daily basis, or so like for you, Ma, like I'm looking up to you as somebody that you're a general manager of a hotel, you're a owner of an entertainment center, you're a mom of 5 boys, you own a house, you have
4 boys.
land, or yeah, 4 boys and 1 girl. Sorry, 5 kids. I meant you have, 3 grandkids. You have, a very successful career. You've been entrepreneurial and in sales your whole life. My first job that I can remember you in was Jackpot. You were selling ads for casinos, and you would have to go around and sell newspaper ads. And I think about that right now, and I'm just like, what in the fuck? Like that's what you were doing to make ends meet when I was a kid. And like to think about that now, I mean, and I've been in sales my whole life too, just because I feel like it's been, tossed down to me of just the gift of gab. So it's been really easy to, I guess, pick up, but I'm not afraid to talk to anybody. You know what I mean? Like now it's just kind of like, it's just real common now, So like, I I asked for this position to be where I'm at to have this venue, and they obliged because they said that they were looking to do it. You know what I mean? They already had somebody that, or they already had an idea in mind that they wanted to start using this space for stuff like this. So here we are. You know what I mean? So it's just like you said, the relationships it's that we're building over the years. So like, what's one of the I guess pivotal relationships that you made in your life to get you to, I would say, being more successful than not? Because I look at you as very successful of what you have, and you know what I mean? I think people that have kids of 5 probably would envy somebody like yourself that always is go, 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 go. You know what I mean? You're not at home a lot, that we joke about you always being at the hotel, you know what I mean? But like, we know that your passion's there. So like, speaking of relationships so much, what was your pivotal relationship that you think that your pendulum swung for the better for yourself?
Well, I think they just all kind of build onto each other. You just gain knowledge and you get older and you get wiser and you get into certain rooms. And, I don't know. I mean, I think feel like I've always been just looking for that something, you have to find out what is what is your why, I always knew what my why was. My why was my children, right? I had 5 children. I was their provider. My first 2 children, um, when I had you and Sam, after your dad and I split up, it was just me. I was the one responsible, right? The staffing service allowed me an opportunity to, that was my first step up, was being part owner. Somebody recognized while I was at Builder Specialties selling lighting, going door to door. I mean, I am a true door to door salesman. I knocked on every door, right? Telecom, Birch Telecom. I did the same thing, door to door, creating the relationships, knowing that you're not going to get the sale on the first try. You might get it on the 8th try, but don't give up. That was a lesson there. Don't give up, go back, um, but having you and Samantha, and having to work hard to provide, I had an opportunity with the staffing service that someone saw me as somebody that didn't give up. I went back and back and back and back to try to get that business. I earned the business. They recognized my persistence, my sales, my ability, and brought me in as a partner. He said, "Hey, I'll provide the backing. You provide the sales." So the sales was vitally important to the success of the staffing service. Within 18 months, we had 640 employees working. I went and found jobs for them. So that's kind of networking, isn't it? You network with a company. What do you need? What do you have that I have that I can provide for you? All right, I'm going to go get that, whatever it is, right? Digging ditches. All right, I'll go get guys that dig ditches. So my ability was to be able to connect a company, right? Whatever their product was with the need. What was your need? What did you have? I feel like I've kind of come full circle around now. You know, I host chamber events, I host business after events. I plan to do that right here at Locos at this event center, right? Where there's not one of its kind in Marion, Arkansas, where I live right now, to connect entrepreneurs. What do you have? Right? But in real time and in person, because it might be hard to form a relationship with somebody that you meet on the internet, because right now it's TikTok and YouTube and all these other platforms. But those platforms, I don't connect with those platforms because I'm kind of old school. I'm door to door. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to get to know you one on one, face to face. Denise Sumner, who's a friend of mine that lives here, I don't see her often, but you know what? When I first moved to Marion, Arkansas, because I had three little boys, a 1 year old, a 3 year old, and a 5 year old, and was homeless, right, with three kids, right? Samantha in the eighth grade, right? I moved to Arkansas because I sold the staffing service. I'm kind of backing up here a little bit. Stole
It's all right.
the staffing service because I couldn't go out there and be that salesperson that I needed to be after, having three children, right? Yeah, I helped Latino staffing grow ridiculous because I went door to door knocking. But
Hmm.
then entered Sean Garza because he was uh, actually, I hired him to work for me because he was bilingual. I needed to put the right people in place, right? You have the right people saying the right thing to the right person at the right time. 100% of the time, you're going to win. So I had to surround myself with people that knew Spanish or this or that, right? Well, enter Chris, Luke, and Josh, right? Sold the staffing company, moved to West Memphis, Arkansas, literally homeless. And because we went through all the funds that we received from selling the staffing service, right? Living on vacations and going and touring and doing these things, right? Then you had to realize I've got to reel it back in. I've got to provide. George
And
Garvin, general manager of Jackpot Magazine, right? And I was marketing director for Jackpot Magazine, started that magazine, which is still in publication today, believe it or not. I
oh
get it
wow,
to hotel. I've got a copy of it in the hotel for my guests. How funny is that? Right?
because of the casino across the street.
Uh, across the street, Jackpot
Hmm.
Magazine, right there. I saw that come off the press for the very first time, like having a baby. Right? Your product was born, just like Cross Country Wellness. The product was born. You saw it come off the press. You owned it. George Garvin was a general manager of Bally's Casino in Tunica. And when I moved to West Memphis, didn't anybody know me in this town, but I'm a salesperson. I got a job working at a little weekly newspaper, the Marion Salute newspaper. Nobody wanted to advertise in that publication because there's the Evening Times. They didn't want to advertise there, so I had to be creative. I created a cartoon map and I went and sold advertising all over that map. It's in the donut shop right now today, locally here, right? This really cool map. So I walk into the Holiday Inn to deliver the maps that they ordered because they had plastered all their hotels that Buddy House had. George Garvin was the GM there. This was my pivoting moment right here. This general manager of this hotel offered me a job as an executive housekeeper. He said he didn't have a sales position available. I said, okay, I'll take it. I took that position, became his executive housekeeper, learned the back of the house. I learned from him. He was my mentor, really and truly, because I sat in his office at Bally's Casino 8 times before he agreed to buy an ad from me. I went and called on him and called on him and called on him and called on him. He finally advertised with me. When I left Jackpot and moved to Arkansas, or after the staffing service and moved to Arkansas, um, when I walked into that hotel, there he was, George Garvin. He offered me a housekeeping position. So I learned from him a lot. And so here I am 17 years later from that first hotel job, and I've opened three hotels and now opening my fourth. brand new from the ground up. He gave me a chance. Dr. Sorrells saw that also and gave me a chance with his hotel. So I'm general manager of a hotel. My ability to put the right people in place saying the right thing, you put together a team. But when you own your own business, putting together a team, I learned from you, you know what? Hire a photographer. You know what? I went and did that. I said, you know what? I've got to market my product here. I need a photographer. I need to stage some things, right? I need to get it out there. Yeah, I could get it out there slowly by going door to door and telling everybody door to door, hey, I've got a new event center. Create those. But creating relationships is one thing that, you've had the ability to do your whole life. I met somebody at Huey's years ago that knew you, and you just started up a conversation with them and talked about anything. I tell that story a lot, and I tell your story about you and your Grizzlies days, meet or greeter, right? You stood on the half court of the Memphis Grizzlies game, holding the basketball above your head the whole halftime.
No, not half. Well, it was through a timeout, and so
Well, I thought it was halftime.
well because since you took me over there to I selfishly passed out flyers so I could get autographs from the team, the opposing team, because I was obviously a Memphis Grizzly home fan. And one day I was wearing a Jason Kidd jersey. And they put me down there, and they said that Grizz was going to grab the basketball out of my hand and he was going to dunk the basketball from out of my hand. And that ended up not happening. I was just standing out there looking like a jackass with the ball above my head. And so when the buzzer sounded, nothing happened. And they're like, you have to get off the court, get off the court. And they were like shushing me off the court. And they're like, hey, you were a good sport. We'll give you front row tickets to the game. And so I sat courtside, and then I got to talk to the players for the rest of the game. And then a player named Richard Jefferson actually gave me his shoes. So then 2 years later, we got him signed, actually. So it was kind of cool. So like, it's like, it's funny how those memories so being that you're bringing up those memories, what's your favorite memory of me and you?
You know what? There's different ones during different times about our life, right? I think one of them, one memory that I just really love a lot is the Ninja Turtle concert. And I actually had to you were on the news tonight because the camera guy that videoed was right there by us, and it was the Ninja Turtle concert that was on Mud Island, and they were like the live characters, and your excitement and your sword and your mask, and you were so into the Ninja Turtles for so long. Just,
Still am.
I know, right? That's so funny. It's carried your whole life, that you've been a fan of the Ninja Turtles. I mean, you watched that movie like on repeat for so long, with the VHS tape, that you had to take it out and put it back in and watch that same movie over and over and over
Didn't you
again.
have to rewind the tape too?
Yeah. So, it was time consuming, right? You had to rewind the tape. And I just was fearful that, if that tape ever broke, I don't know what in the world I would do because, that was your thing that you wanted to watch Ninja Turtles all the time. And once I remember it was the hardest thing I felt like I had to do once that you disobeyed. And I told you that I was going to take away your Ninja Turtles. Literally, it was harder on me than it was on you because your sheets were Ninja Turtles, your toothbrush was Ninja Turtles, your clothes. I took away every single thing that had a Ninja Turtle on it because you were, I don't remember what the circumstance was, but
Shit.
and so I grounded you. And so I grounded you from the turtles because that was something that you really, really liked. But, so I think about that, when you were younger, you know, uh, that memory. But I enjoy visiting you in Vegas because, we went to Mount Charleston. We went and saw something besides just the strip, and saw
Mm-hmm.
out of Las Vegas, and just the people that you've introduced me to there. And I really enjoy, like I say, for the last 17 years anyway, with the hotels and the conventions always being in Vegas, it always allowed me, at least for the past, how long you've been out there,
7 or 8 years.
right? Been able to go out there and at least, make it a personal visit as well. But um,
No,
yeah, I as
Nana
per
brought up one of my favorite memories of you just recently.
which was
Sorry, you there?
yeah.
So Nana just brought up one of the get her off the stage. Um, but when I took you and Nana to the grow room, what was
Oh,
that like for? What was that like for you?
hilarious, hilarious. I'm obviously open to it. Um,
You have
and
me as a son. I hope so.
and just and it's just so funny that Nana, good grief, she's 83 years old. Grew up different than we did. A conservative Catholic, right? She's a
Oh shit!
conservative Catholic, but she has adjusted and adapted and accepted you know um,
I,
the way of life for you. And um, so
I think that's interesting too because think about like Nana's 83. You're about to be 60. Not to put your business out there.
thank you.
I'm 35. We have, you have grandkids. What's weird is the grandkids aren't going to know what like house phones are, or grandkids aren't going to know the transition of like my generation. You're the last mom's generation to raise kids on both sides of like the before technology and after technology. You know what I mean? So like, is it different? I would say with like Luke, well, Chris,
Well,
Luke, and Josh.
you know what, like I really am fearful of the technology because wow, it kind of almost went shoo, really fast, right? Once it lit fire, and it's gone really fast. I mean, things are changing so much, right? Because of chat GPT and AI and meta and all of that, right? That's crazy to think about. Just that the technological space,
Right.
right? Whole different space, right? People become fans and obsessed with people, like I was saying before, on, you know, shows or whatever, you know. Um,
No,
this
well,
TV show, I guess now, I mean, gosh, it's just so much out there and so much competition out there for your piece of business. So to
mhm.
put your name out there, what is your purpose? What, pursue your passion, whatever the passion is. But
How
yeah,
long?
so gosh, I mean, they're all about video. Well, I guess you were about video games too, but now I
I'm
don't have
still
to go.
about video games.
Now I don't have to go to the store and buy the games. Though that's a thing too. You know, the newspaper. That's an obsolete thing. I had to get my beer and wine license, and I had to put an ad in the paper. That was like an act of Congress to do that.
Same as getting our credit card processor. You know what I mean? It's like pulling teeth is a little bit easier. I feel like, um, me and you've had hard conversations in life already before too, because um, I used to I used to pick up dead people. You know what I mean? And so, um, what's one thing that it's inevitable because you say this all the time. You're like, one of
One,
one's gonna die. One out of you say that all the time. And so like with you
you
saying that,
you never know when it is your time. You never know, never, right? I get to work today. One of my coworkers, her aunt, this morning at 5:30 this morning, was hit She was on the side of the road on Highway 64 and she was hit and was killed this morning. The school superintendent of West Memphis died of a heart attack the other day. I had a hard conversation with my 3 boys that happen to still live at home, and I told them, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
Are you prepared? What's going to happen tomorrow? Right? I'm not here. What happens tomorrow? Do you know the passwords to the accounts? Who's responsible for paying your bills? Right? If it's not you, take a look at who is. And if you lost that person tomorrow, would you be able to? What would your life look like? I hope that for the rest of my life that I spend as much quality time as I can with my children, with my grandchildren, with just imposing, you know, whatever it is that I want for my kids. What I want for my kids is for them to stay together, stay close. You know, I lost my dad 4 years ago, and I miss him horribly. And I wish there was conversations I wish I did have. I wish things had been different growing up with him. That I was
Yeah.
closer, that I did more often. Because now I don't have them. Which for my mom, I'm so very thankful for that. I still have her, and I really enjoy going on trips with her. She is my best travel companion. So, um, yeah, your life could end tomorrow. Did you say everything you wanted to say? I mean, I'm thankful that you and I almost talk almost every day, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
No, and
you know,
and I'm making an
almost
effort
every
too. And do what?
I mean, I
What'd you
see the
say?
boys almost if they're not out of town,
Oh, right,
so
right,
I
right,
mean,
right,
I'm
right.
for the relationship that I have with all 5 of my children that they're not estranged. I see a lot of relationships that, my grandmother didn't talk to my uncle for 7 years. I couldn't believe it. It was so sad, but it tore her apart. I mean, I couldn't imagine not speaking to my children. You know, I know one of my girlfriends has never laid eyes on her grandchildren because she doesn't speak to her daughter. That's sad. So if nothing else for me and my kids and my family, we have I'm thankful for the relationships that we have. Um, so if I'm going to go out there and be the best salesperson that I can be, right? Because that's about creating relationships. I mean, looking in your own, you know, backyard for the relationships that you have.
No, I agree. Well, and I guess that would be a good thing that, since we do talk every day and since you did have that hard conversation with the boys, like what's one thing that you told them that even, after you are gone, what's one thing that you want all 5 of us to know, because this is something that we all can watch forever. And I selfishly wanted to have you on here and just that's kind of the first time I've heard you piece together your story of like the West Memphis side of things. So that was actually kind of cool. And then just kind of knowing like how you got involved in the hotel space, but like, like what does Ma's legacy for us look like? You know what I mean? Like what's one thing that you want us to know when you're not here anymore, when we can't call you, if we could call you is what?
Show up and with the right,
Hang
show
on.
up for each other. Hang on.
Oh, can you, sorry, it paused for a little bit. So Ma says, show up, y'all.
Just show up, and show up with the right attitude. Lucas is going to have his first boxing match in a couple weeks. And it's funny to hear Chris talk. You're going to lose. Tell him have the right attitude. Go into it positive. you know, look for the good. Don't go in there looking for the negative. You know, show up for each other. You know, I want to show up for my children. I want to show up for my grandchildren. Have a good attitude, go in with a good heart. We were all, every one of us, me, you, all of us, were born, and you know what we started with? We started with a heartbeat, right? That heartbeat didn't have a color. That heartbeat was just, that's how you started your life, right? show up for each other. You know, what is your passion? Follow it. You know, you followed your passion. You know what I mean? You put everything else aside with a backpack and followed your passion. And look what you've done with that. You know, I think my passion, you know, from when I was burned, I feel like, you know, back when I was a freshman in college in 1983, 23% of my body was burned in third-degree burns. I was in a hospital. I was very humble. I couldn't worry about that my hair wasn't perfect, or I couldn't worry about that my complexion was perfect, right? But I went and mentored to people that were sick or whatever. Hospitality. I was shown hospitality. You know, I think that's why here I am in the hotel industry. I enjoy meeting new people every day. I enjoy extending my hospitality to people that I've met in the hotel. I've met people from all over the world and have met amazing people that continue to follow me to whatever hotel. A pastor of a church whose daughter was diagnosed with leukemia in 2009 said my father's funeral in 2020. I met him in the hotel. You know, the relationships you create relationships with people from all over the world. You know what? One thing that you can't change, you can choose your friends and you can choose those that you have relationships. But for a mother with 5 children, right? Show up for your brothers and your sister. You know, be there for them. They didn't choose, right? It just so happened y'all have one thing in common, right? That I'm your mother, you know? And I would hope, and I think that's every mother's hope, is that their children would be there for their siblings. In, right? I think me and my brothers and sisters, we come together for my mother, you know, for her birth
100% y'all do.
and show up for her. You know, I think that's every mother's, right? I have different roles in my life. I'm a mother, I'm a boss, I'm a different things, but being there for each other after I'm gone. You know, I'm a hard worker. I'm, you know, I pour out to my staff, you know. So showing up, having a good attitude, having a good heart, right? Do the right thing. And that a mom's advice.
Well, you've given it your whole life, so it's nothing that like I don't think that I lack in any way. I
Oh no,
obviously I could be better at a lot of things, but I think the relationship building, the aspect of just like trying to have a good heart, trying to do the right thing all the time, always weighs consciously on me. So like, and I you should be proud of yourself for instilling that. I think in all 5 of us, because we all want the best with what we're doing. You know what I mean? So even with this podcast, you know what I mean? It's good intentions. If it reaches just one person and one person's touched by it, you know what I mean? Cool, but I didn't want this podcast to be about me. I wanted this to be about other people, other entrepreneurs, and like how people can figure out and navigate just one problem, because I hate reading books. And so I realized that the fastest way to problem solving is reading books and podcasts from people that's made mistakes and overcame their mistakes. So like, to wrap it up, we got about 12 minutes left. What's probably one of the biggest mistakes that you've made that you've actually, biggest mistakes that you've learned from? You know what I mean? Because it's not a lesson, like it's not a loss, it's a lesson. So like, what's one big mistake that if somebody could actually learn something from the show of you with 5 kids, with an entrepreneur, with running businesses, with, running the chamber, with trying to run event, like,
much. You know what? Learn to say no sometimes. You know what? That's probably a big mistake of mine is not saying no when I should say no. You know, you don't try to be a people pleaser and please everybody because you can't. You know, just take on what you can take on. So, you know, if it is, you know, because then the criticism's easier to come if you don't succeed in that whatever it is, right? Oh, I thought you're going to be driving a new car by now, right? So you're going to get criticized because you jumped after this project or whatever, and you know, a mistake, not saying no, right? Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do that. you know. So I think that's, I don't want to say it's a mistake. It's just a life lesson that, you
Yeah.
don't take on more than you can really handle, because you want to be successful in everything. You want to be your best. You want to be your best in everything that you do. So if you don't have an intention to follow up and follow through 100% with it, and give it your best, turn down some things, you know, don't try to be everything to everybody,
No, you're
take time
right.
for yourself, to certainly take time for yourself, right? Whatever that looks like, have time for yourself, for your mental health, your spiritual health, your financial health, you know, to be in a good position. You only have one body, you only have one life. So it's
You
up to you
touched
to do.
and you touched on some good points of like health, wealth, and relationships in this podcast, and that's one thing that my men's group have been working really heavily on lately is health, wealth, and relationships, saving money, saving time. And I've surrounded myself with a little bit of people that's been a little bit more successful than me and just a little bit better than I am, so I can learn from them. And so if we're not growing, we're going backwards. And so that's just, I think one thing that you've instilled in me is always to try to grow and just be better than you were yesterday. So I kind of wanted just to have
Yeah.
you on here and just we could talk forever. And I wanted this to be a little bit more organic, and I think it was. So thank you guys for at least knowing that there was some hiccups in here. We're gonna figure it out, Mom. Like, so guess what, Ma? Guess what I got to figure out right now? Can you hear me still?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so I got to figure out how we're gonna edit this damn podcast now. You know what I mean? So that's the cool part of
Yeah.
figuring it
Well,
out.
you're
Like, this is and we're going to be able to showcase your story with your audience now. You know what I mean? This is going to be a multi-platform thing. I guess before we get off here, the last question that I have to ask you is that um, obviously you're about to be 60. You don't look anywhere near close to it. You look amazing. You are absolutely beautiful. And with that in mind, you've had to have some sort of wellness or regimen or routine or something that you're at least conscious of, you know what I mean, in the wellness space. So can you say anything about that, or how you've used cross country wellness to tie into your wellness routine, if that would help anybody as well?
well. I will tell
And
you.
I know, and I'm going to biasly
Absolutely.
ask this question because I know that you're the biggest fan, and this isn't fair to ask you this first, but my if anybody knows you, they've probably had some of this product shoved in their face. So why do you use it?
That's 100%. Well, I use it for, I feel like for a good night's sleep. I'll take the gummy at night to sleep. I take 2 capsules in the morning, and I feel like I'm not sure if I contribute. I mean, that I feel overall well. I don't have aches and pains. People ask all the time, "How do you just go, 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 go?" And maybe it's cross country wellness. Maybe it is drinking lots of water. Uh,
Can you go
the
back to where
product
you were
helps. I
sitting?
mean, you already know. I mean, the cream.
Your
Oh,
internet's kind
yeah.
of janky
Sorry.
where you're at.
I thought I was going to go plug. I thought I was going to come back over here and plug up my phone, because my phone is, this is ate up a lot of my phone. I may have to move back over here. Hang on. Plug in. All right.
If you're on the Wi-Fi, we need you on the Wi-Fi, mutter.
Am I on it?
Yeah, I don't know. You might be. I just need it to work good for you.
At least. Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a fan of all. I'm a fan ever since I introduced the cross country wellness. I've been a huge fan. I'm so thankful for the product. I every single don't let somebody tell that, because I promise you, I will go to their hotel room and rub them down so they can come down to the bereavement dinner. I will rub them down so they can finish breakfast. My breakfast attendant rubbed her down. After I did, she came back out and said she backflip off the roof. My laundry workers, they work hard. My hotel sales every night, they're hard. The cream is amazing if you want instant gratification from pain, I think.
Well, Ma, I appreciate you being my number one fan and biggest supporter. So,
yeah, I am the biggest fan of the product. I am the biggest supporter of the product. Look at that boy. Yes. And there's a lady in Virginia or North Carolina, I think, that he should be one of your newest. What are you doing?
well, I had some people walk by that are walking outside that know me, that were supporting me. So, hey, I'm going to let you go because I know you're busy. Thank you for being here. This is really cool. This is really fun. I got another one that I got to record in 10 minutes. So I'm going to make sure that my everything's set and ready to go, figure out if we can have a better connection on the next one. But thank you, Ma, for being here and doing this for me. This was really cool.
I really am.
I'll cherish this forever, and I'll call you later.
Okay, I love you.
All right, love you too.
Bye-bye.
June 1st. This comes out June 1st. June 1st, Cross Country Wellness, first episode down. We're going to have some technical difficulties, so if y'all just bear with us, it's going to be handled very soon. So thank you very much. Jbird, we out here.